The top 20 Dread and Relief video game music tracks as chosen by you in our Discord.
I got a bad feeling about this.
There it is. Welcome, Rudy, Lenot, Chris. Currently, you're listening to Resident Evil 2 Remake's version of The Save Room. Felix, welcome. So, people have submitted their usual top 4, top 5, but this time they've done it in a back-to-back way. So we're going to be playing back-to-back Dread and Relief tracks from each person. We're going to start off with Lenot's picks. Here is his very first pick for Dread. Well, this one's literally called Doctor's Dread. I think it's a nice way to ease ourselves into it, where I did literally dread potentially listening to about an hour of music that makes you feel terrible. I don't really like games and music and things that make me feel bad. I'm a chubby guy. I don't like to feel bad. I don't like the initial shock. That exercise makes you feel bad until it makes you feel really good. So it's kind of a catch-22. But then you feel bad for not exercising. But this is nice. It's very warm. It's got these kind of warm acoustic instruments. There's that steady drum that sounds like it's sort of stretched over a hide. It's got like a tribal feel with a lot of acoustic instruments and kind of like wheezing, breathing, a lot of droning. Sounds like terrible things have not happened yet, but something will happen that's bad. And as you can see from the artwork, people in ecstasy doing some kind of like a dance or relief, and there's either bones or some sort of like overturned insect, long spindly legs. I really like the artwork. This is for the game Pathologic 2. Interesting. Alright, well, let's go with Lenot's Relief track, which is the Safe Room theme we listened to in the intro. We'll let it run a little bit here. They're nice soft textures. There's no percussion in any way. It doesn't sound like it's trying to get anywhere. For the most part, it feels kind of bright and happy, cheery-ish enough, but there's definitely dread ambiance all around it. I don't know if the sound effects happen every time or if they just picked a little bit of sound effects for maybe one instance where this would play, but it definitely, that creaking sound feels like it's not going to last for too long, or something is outside, or whatever you're in is not quite stable. Chris thinks for a relief track to fit the theme, it still has to have an element of tension from what is past or is not too distant. The save themes are fantastic. That's definitely also what I first thought of for this theme, Resident Evil save room themes. All right, thank you, Leonard, for those. Moving on, Prince. I don't know if he's here, but this is his first Dread track. Slash, slash, slash into his tummy. Out comes the red. Oh, so yummy. Kids can make things sound creepy, especially when there's no background music and a lot of reverb, and it's a very cold reverb, like you're trapped with them in a tower or like a dark, wet, humid bathroom or something, or in the sewers. And especially the lyrics so happily being sung about stab, stab, goes their eyes, loses her sight. Bright white, bright white, bright white when you lose your sight. And here's the chat on the screen. Okay, all right. Humid, not human, humid bathroom. All right, let's see what Prince has for the relief. Is that Debussy? I don't know. It's definitely a very famous old classical piece with a scratchy record like it's being played on a gramophone. And again, more ambience of maybe a fire or some wind. It definitely, again, feels like you're in sort of a cold, dark, dank room. Like you're trying to find some safety, but that beauty and safety is sort of flickering out like a candle about to go out and leave you in eternal darkness. So far, we've heard a lot of ambience in these tracks, and I think we're probably going to hear a lot more. I think people have done a really good job of choosing ones that, even though they're relief, it's not just like pure sunshine, joy, happiness. It's not just like, well, we'll play a scary track and then we'll play a happy dance club track. I think people are really finding the theme quite well. Such an incredible piece, of course. All right, let's go on to the resident Falcom Shill, who only had one. So we'll get back to that one later. So we'll go on to Chris. This is his Dread theme. It's called Return of the Knockers from Whoopo. Yeah, Prince, definitely a playful kind of dread in the way that the notes are played and composed. They do such a great job of choosing instruments for it. That low bass is very kind of sharp and pointy, like bunk, 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 bunk. The sort of almost like a tick-tock of a clock. It's consistent and percussive, but also a bit kind of uneven. Putting the emphasis in different spots makes it feel kind of uneven in the way it kind of decays in and out. That droning bell that is hit, or a chime that's just left to linger for so long. Even this like boom bum bum is done in a way, it's done with an instrument that feels kind of old and musty and like you're playing in an attic with an old grandfather clock, antiques, an old harpsichord knocking into things. The reverb is almost like the dust hanging in the air. Yeah, that's a great one. That really uses every element they can to produce it without going over the top with the dread. All right, this is Chris's relief track. It's from either The Coast or Rain World, and it's called one or the other. Nice track. It definitely sounds like you've just come through a terrible storm and are now on a warm shore. And you can kind of hear the fog and the ambience. Like the other tracks, a lot of ambience where there's something terrible off in the background. But at least in this part, it's good. I really love the slow kind of groove. It's got a nice slow wave to it. Even just that kind of bam, bam, bum, bum. Just keeps insisting on that with the rhythms. of those melodies. I like the choice of instrument, that sort of mallet sound gives it a nice percussion. Just gently pushing it along like the tiniest little waves that actually end up on shore. Gives it kind of like a shallow water, warm, tidal beach sound. Definitely sounds like the coast. What a great track. All right. Thanks, Chris, for those. Let's see who has the next picks. Rudy. Here's Rudy's Dread track. It's an interesting track because it feels like you've taken what should be a nice lullaby and deconstructed it by just putting the notes in unexpected places, having the note intervals be unexpected and uncomfortable, having things kind of phase in and out, having different effects come in and kind of ripple along, different sounds that sound like sound effects come in and go along their own kind of pulse. Like you've gone into some terrifying laboratory where they're experimenting on babies and cribs. Someone's of a rhythm but muffled and distorted too. Yeah, like it's trying to say something but you don't understand it. It definitely feels like you're in a place where you just can't understand a thing. All right, well let's go to Rudy's relief track and see if he can make us feel better after that. Fantastic track. Again, I think this is another one that, although it's relief, there is that sense of dread. The way those top harmony lines, sort of like the top and middle harmony lines, are almost feel like they're colliding with the other notes. And the way they kind of slide into each other gives it a slightly unsettling feeling. It's nice, there's relief, but it does feel like there's something a bit wrong. The melody is trying to be happy, but it's sort of not quite in the scale you would expect. While there's this really happy-go-lucky jam underneath it, it's kind of like the bassist and the drummer feel like everything's cool, but they don't realize the other people in the band are going insane. That's a great one. Kind of makes you think of Steven Universe's Setting on Earth. I'll take your word for it. Fantastic. Claudio's picks. Actually, we got Seaflon. He doesn't have a relief track, so he's going to put in this one. All right, we'll do Seaflon's track. Hey, it's my mom. Welcome, Mom. This is Seaflon's track from Alundra. It's called Nightmare. Definitely a quite a spooky JRPG track. Sounds like something you would hear on the Super Nintendo. Prince says it sounds like it should be played in a dark castle entirely made out of flesh. Yeah, I could see that. It has sort of a elegant but ominous. There's an organic feel but kind of dark, something that's recently been corrupted. I'll play one of my choices. This is one that I feel like has a bit of dread and relief all tied up in one. I hope I'm finding the right one here. Majora's Mask, pretty sad game with a lot of darkness in it. A world that's ending in 3 days. Problems you solve that constantly get reversed by you reversing time to try to save them. Trying to save people before their impending doom. Awakening the four giants to come together and stop the moon from smashing into the earth and probably sacrificing themselves to do it. That was my pick for a relief track with a bit of dread underneath it. Okay, let's move on. This is Claudio's picks. I believe this is from Final Fantasy VII, Trails of Blood. real classic implementation of it. Definitely trying to emulate how a real gigantic orchestra would portray something like this. Sparse timpani hits, the wood block. It's definitely written in a way that could easily transfer right over to an orchestra. Big jumps, bum, 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 on the notes, leaving on these really unresolved, queasy feeling. That delayed arpeggio in the background. It's sort of a very sad, slow sort of introduction. It's almost like a bit of lightness, like the lightning lighting up something dark that you don't want to see lit up by lightning. And then some interesting instruments kind of peeking their head in, almost like something skittering past you. Nobuo Uematsu, of course. Claudio also picked Resident Evil 2 Save Room for one of his relief picks, so we'll move on to his second relief pick. This is Castlevania Order of Ecclesia, Serenade of the Hearth. Fits well with your first one. Gorgeous, but sad. There's a bit of warmth underneath it, but definitely something sort of mysterious. And again, that reverb gives it this slightly claustrophobic feeling, like you're in the basement of a dungeon or a castle, where you might be safe from the monsters outside at this moment, but it's still not a place you'd want to stay for too long. I think it provides time to ruminate over events that have occurred. Not a positive or happy track, but room to breathe. You can never be safe forever. Absolutely. Oh, there's some really beautiful emotional tricks in this melody that just slays me. Beautiful. What a wonderful, wonderful track I've never heard before. Let's go with, because Claudio is at the bottom of our submissions here, we'll snake back through Claudio's tracks. This is from Mario Maker 2, Castle Edit Theme, in brackets, he puts, skip the first 30 seconds. All right. I think this track is so good and so well loved that it's hard to feel some dread from it. I feel really excited. Although, if the level was ridiculously difficult, like a lot of Super Mario Maker levels are, then I definitely would feel the dread. Where I would enjoy the music a lot, but no, this level is going to be hell to complete. Ooh. My favorite part. Nice remix. Really fun remix. Okay, let's check out the Resident Evil 2 Save Room original theme. What a cover. What a cover. Beautiful. Yeah, we heard the updated version in the remake, which adds a lot more dread, more sound effects. This is a little warmer, I think because of the instruments and the compression of the time. A great track, and definitely the piano leaving you wanting, absolutely. It doesn't finish the melody. It's a nice melody, but it keeps stopping. And I think that works really well with the idea of the first couple Resident Evil games always having a scarcity of resources. You never have enough ammo, you never have enough save ribbons or health supplies. So it works really well with that. Alright, let's pop over to Rudy's picks. His second round. Here is his Dread track. This is from Parasite Eve, number 1. This is called Surface of the Water. This one really pulls out all the stops, as you guys pointed out, that actual heartbeat right in the middle of the mix. Low, woofy. Tons of sound effects, industrial clanging. You got stereo panning going from left and right. That you've got things that are sounding very far away and very close. So it's it feels like everything is kind of happening behind you and around you. It sounds very, very foggy and horrifying. This is a perfect track for this. All right, thank you. At least we had the picture to look at. Let's go with his second relief track, which is from Eco. This is the healing track. Yeah, this track works so well with the game. As Chris points out, it doesn't have a bass line, there's no percussion. It's like in a game where monsters continually come up from the depths and drag you down, it's like it's completely removed that aspect, and we're in the nice place above, and you can hear these kind of higher notes almost like reaching higher and higher, sort of like getting closer to heaven, further from hell. Such a great track. So simple, but really beautiful. The way that it layers the rhythms of the melody. Everything kind of overlapping. It almost like you're sitting near a pool of water and seeing kind of fish jump out at different times, and the nice part of nature. A beautiful track. All right, we're going back to Chris's next pick. This is from Halo. Halo CE. This track is called Shadows. This is his dread pick. Without guitar, it says. Yeah, not a nice feeling. They play this over the credits, and then the electric guitar changes it. Wait, because this is not what you expect to hear in Halo. I love how those notes go up so high and become so thin, like a needle going into your brain. And then they kind of reverb and get closer and closer. It's like you're being stalked by a lot of terrifying things that don't quite have shape. The way they sort of increase in tempo as well and intensity. Yeah, pretty terrifying. Not nice at all. The game suddenly turns into a horror. Is this when the flood happens? Or am I thinking of the wrong one when I say CE? I know the first couple of Halos, once they start adding things like reach and any sort of abbreviations. Oh, it's the flood, right. It's so unexpected too. It's such a cool moment. All right, here's a relief track from Chris. This is called The Calm. When the boss is defeated in the game Binding of Isaac. What a beautiful melody. This song to me feels like you've won, but at what cost? What have you done? Very creepy, playful movie soundtrack feel to it. Like you've saved the baby, but it was the devil's baby. But I'm such a sucker for the melody on the piano. So the rolling bass notes on the piano and that tremolo guitar. Wow, that's nice. Let's go with Resident Falcom Shills track. I don't know what this one is, whether it's Dread or Relief. Just says Blasphemous, Strife and Ruin. Probably Dread. You know, I don't know if that was supposed to be in here. That might have just been someone else. Or no, it doesn't feel like it's a part of the theme at all. I think Resident Falcom Show just put that in between everyone else's suggestions. Didn't write Dread or Relief after, so we're just not going to listen to the rest of that or talk about it. All right, Prince's next Dread track. This is from Rule of Rose on the PS2. Track number 8. Really nice performance on the violin where they take the violin to the absolute end of the string where it goes right off the fretboard and then just plucks it at the very top. It's like you're taking a violin and stretching it beyond its means, or when they used to torture people by tying them to horses and pulling them apart. Yeah, definitely using those instruments to tell the story as much as possible. Great Dread. Okay, here's Prince's Relief track. spine tingling is a good way to put it. The wind chimes, they're sort of, I don't know how you describe that, sort of almost like a scratching sound, a real sort of organic, visceral sound to it. That's not heavy, very, very light, dreadful, but light and high-pitched and cerebral. Definitely does feel, I think spine tingling, you couldn't put it better than that. The ticking could be interpreted as suggesting your time in the safe place is limited. Yeah, that's several times we've heard that now in these tracks is using a clock, the impending march, especially when a clock is sort of slow and reverbed out or recorded so intimately close in this sense with no reverb. Great one. But it's no grandmother clock, like a music box. Yeah, like small, delicate, but creepy instruments. All right, those will be the last two. Leonot's Dread and Relief. Hopefully they're good. This is from Medium, The. This track is called The Maw, Part 1. The Maw is in a big, gaping, large mouth. So dark, so powerful, so inescapable. I love how when those industrial kind of clanking rhythm picks up, and all of a sudden it's so much faster. It's almost like it was coming for you, and now it's definitely chasing after you. A lot of bells, a lot of sounds kind of appearing and lingering, creeping in and out, lots of layers. It's how you make a dread track. All right, this is Leonot's next one. It is his final relief track, also composed by Akira Yamaoka. So good. Definitely ahead of its time in terms of what we'd see being so popular now with lo-fi, chill, hip-hop, those beats. Slightly disturbing and dark, but a nice, comforting wash of warm synth and different layers and loops over top of it. A really plaintive piano that's allowed to take its time. Oh, it is a million times better than lo-fi. There's some great lo-fi, but usually the stuff you hear is somebody ripping off an unimaginative beat and then stealing some loop from jazz. But this is really incredible. Bit dark. The way that the beautiful melody kind of pushes outside of the melodic box. The way that bass is raising up. But just so... This song's arrangement and composition is so careful, so well placed. This is a total masterpiece. I may not like the games you like, Lena, but I always get down with your music. What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful track. Alright, if you're watching the high quality version on YouTube, this is where it ends. If this is your first time watching it, we have a ton of these episodes, so just check out the playlist. We also have a podcast, a 90s kid, A90S kid, with lots of reviews and discussions. Now we're going to discuss what our next topic is. If you want to be a part of this and you don't know how, join our Discord. Go to the Music Show Nominations group and check out whatever theme it is there. They happen every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be back streaming probably some Spider-Man Miles Morales tomorrow. All right, let's choose a theme for next week.